there's a question from Thomas Brodbeck from a newspaper, Nahe Zeitung. Mr. Brodbeck, do you want to ask yourself?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Really interesting and many thanks for the speaker, both and not both, all of you. The question is there any chance, or do you see any chance to realize the idea of public money or cycling economy, or is it somewhere realized or on the way to be realized?
Maybe let's answer Professor Yamaguchi in order to have it a little bit more balanced. Professor Yamaguchi, did you get the question?
Well, you can think of that possibility because I'm not aware about German political situation, but in Japan, it's still very hard to implement public money ideas. So we are trying to expand ideas among younger generations. So it may take some time. You see, when Keynesian general theory was introduced in 1936, it took more than 10 years to affect younger researchers. So similarly, public money may take some time. And politically, as we discussed, there are 3 full-time, fully paid lobbyists in USA to fight against the introduction of public money. So under such situations, politically it's very tough, but then it depends on how younger macroeconomists try to seek into the more precise, scientifically robust approach to macroeconomics. So if younger researchers began to talk about public money as a better way to analyze macroeconomy, then it can be easily implemented. So.
Thank you very much. Maybe Mr. Schuster, do you want to add something?
Yes, maybe stressing this political side. I doubt that under normal circumstances, the political system is able to take such a decision and make the transition from the debt money system to the public money system. I see an opportunity only in the case of a collapse, similar to the Great Depression when Irving Fisher and the Chicago Plan was made public. And only then maybe is a small window of opportunity to change the systems. That's for public money. For the circular economy, I think in many parts, also in the European Union, there are plans. There is a lot of research work going on. And also in at the campus in Birkenfeld, there are a lot of engineering work to get more circular. But I'm not aware if these technical approaches are combined with an economic approach to come to a full sustainable system. That I think that would need a top-down decision, and I see no political party, at least in Germany, who would be ready for that, to take risks and make investment plans, etc.
Thank you. Anyway, Steve Keen wanted to say something. I wanted to ask you anyway, Steve, about your opinion on that, because you're a guy with a lot of political experience. Your micro is switched off.
Thank you, Dirk. Yeah, frankly, there's no possibility of positive reform being done in this sense. We've experienced 50 years of what I call not reforms, but deforms. as neoclassical economists and politicians and bankers have enjoyed removing all the restraints we had on the banking system after the Great Depression and set us up for the global financial crisis. So I think there's no chance, but we have to at least imagine what a post-crisis monetary system could be. And that's what the exercise is really about. So if we're going to have a civilization after global warming becomes too obvious even for Donald Trump to ignore, then we need to think about it before Donald Trump stops ignoring it. And that's what I think Gert and Kaoru are doing here. So I'm very positive about that.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Professor Yamaguchi, it was a very nice and convincing presentation you did concerning your model, as well as how to introduce the money sector in a different way. And I know this kind of system dynamics in many years since I met first at the YASA at Luxembourg, at Vienna for a long time in the 80s. Yeah. And we have discussed a lot about system dynamics as well. And it's always difficult for, let me say, for the most of our experts to think nonlinear, but we have to do. I think it's very important that we have to do, and we learn a lot about those unexpected effects which came from nonlinearities in a system. Insofar, it's very important to keep the models as small as possible, as already Einstein told to us. Yeah, models should be as simple as possible, but not too simple. Yeah, of course, and I think that's a very important point. And I think it is in so far an important point because all the parameters we have to introduce in our models, if we use system dynamics or anything else, have to be determined via experience, via data, or whatever. And all those model parameters have a lot of fluctuations around, uncertainties in the dynamics. And because of the nonlinearities, those uncertainties can also have unexpected effects in the dynamics. Yeah? And therefore, I think it is very important to keep our models as simple as possible for the understanding, and that it will be accepted from the, let me say, from the community as such, who always have problems to come up from, to go a different way. And insofar as I'm very happy that you presented your model in such a surrounding way. And it was very nice to follow you. And I'm really excited from this kind of model you presented. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Professor Yamaguchi, do you want to answer?
No, not so. Well, system dynamics and accounting system dynamics looks similar, but it's totally, in a sense, in a totally more different way to create model. So I really like you to, since you are familiar with system dynamics, I really like you to try my accounting system dynamics modeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's really more interesting, especially if when you handle the money flow money.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, simple model is fine, but simple is good, but simple is not. Well, Einstein said simple is good, but simple is sometimes I forgot the part. So I keep my model as simple as possible, but all the time we need new barriers to explain the behavior. So gradually it's continue to expand, like evolution of the ecological systems. So then I think sometimes it may stop. For instance, my Japanese model has more than 1,000 variables to describe the real economic behavior of Japanese economy. But that's not enough to, if we include more foreign sector, it may exceed 2,000 variables, but it's still easy to understand once you follow the logic of accounting system. So, and anyone can easily understand because based upon my teaching, it looks complicated at first because a lot of different diagrams, it's like a spaghetti. But once you understand principle, it's so easy and so easy to protect error. So that is why accounting system dynamics, I just happen to present it is the best way to describe macroeconomic behavior.
Mr. Schuster, any comment to add on that?
Well, I think the main part of Professor Haag's comment was about non-linearities, which give surprising events or observations. And maybe Professor Yamaguchi can further comment on this, how much non-linearities are involved in his model.
Often, yeah, of course.
Okay.
By definition, all dynamic systems are non-linear by definition. Almost. There are no linear systems. Linear system is just a simplification of equilibrium point at the equilibrium point. So that's why then so many people now focus on linear and non-linear because every system has to be non-linear from in the beginning.
Indeed, yeah. I agree completely, yeah. And even if you have many, let me say, differential equations, linear differential equations, we have a system, you can sometimes replace those systems by nonlinear systems with less order. And so I think we as model builders know everything what is going on, but to explain it sometimes, I had the problem that uncertainties in the parameters, not in the model as such, uncertainties in the parameters, may lead to unexpected reactions of the model, whether some event comes earlier or later, what is going on, and therefore I think it is important to control all the parameters as well, very much, and to have good data, or you in order to estimate the parameters if you use a model, especially when it's time dependent and you have to make a forecasting when does a certain effect happens, and then it depends precisely if it's nonlinear on the parameters of the system.
Okay.
But I think we know it,
Just I see a comment from Klaus Helling. He says, Einstein said, keep the things as simple as possible, but not too simple. Any more questions from the audience? If not, I have another question, which is almost the same as before. So when you are looking, you are giving the money from the central bank inside to the state in order to finance some investments, whatever this is, investment. This is also a big question. And you take the taxes in order to control the quantity. So what about democracy? The central bank shall be independent, and tax is how to say the most important right of the parliament. How can they interact? What is the democratic idea behind?
Well, that's all the questions about the independence of central bank, but whether it is debt money or public money, independence is a very crucial point. Especially in the public money authority have to be independent, independent from the political influence. So that means, but independence with full information, full responsibility for the public. So that's the most important point. But the current central bank want to be independent, but they don't want to disclose all information. So that means independence without disclosing information is totally the way to control. So public money system, we need independence, but with full information made possible to the public. So that's a big difference. And
but wouldn't it be a logical consequence to give also the right for taxation to the central bank? Wouldn't it be a logical consequence if you want to control the money supply to give also the right for taxation to the central bank? And is this still a democracy then?
Well, personally, using my approach of the monetary system, it's better to know it's your role to discuss whether German or European Central Bank is necessary, or that you want a German central bank which is different from European central banks. So that's kind of which central bank need more independence, German central bank or European central bank?
Well, that was not my question. My question was, you need a close interplay between the central bank and the taxation in the plain money system. If you don't have it, you get a problem. You cannot control what is going on. You cannot control the money supply. But if you're doing it, then either you have to give the authority for the central bank authority to the parliament, which doesn't work, or you give the tax authority to the central bank, which is not democratic.
Yeah.
Kaoru, I think that's a good moment to explain your uniform tax system.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the answer to this question.
Yes, that's right. So today I didn't discuss the uniform tax system. When we introduce electronic public money, we at the same time introduce the uniform tax system. And the uniform tax systems, all transactions are considered as economic activities. That means whenever we have to pay the portion of payment to government as taxes. So in this way, there are no way to evade the tax payment. So that's one point. And at the same time, technology enables us to disclose how much money stock are now in circulation and what is the inflation rate. And if we are having inflation rate a little higher, then government can impose higher uniform tax rate, so that the government can suck the money from circulation. So this kind of information is all made possible step by step or moment by moment on computer screen, so that anyone can watch what is the current inflation rate, what is the current level of money stock. And the government can easily change the uniform tax rate to increase or decrease the money supplies. So that's the basic idea.
Yeah, but I'm not convinced about this proposal, because it is a universal transaction tax, which, for instance, makes everything, it is like sand in the motor, and you have some cascade effects, and you also have some unsound distribution effects. Yeah? And for instance, you don't tax rents or something, economic rents. They are completely out. Yeah? And this is where people got rich, from economic rents, not from interest or something. Yeah? And this you don't tax at all. So, but that's another thing. Yeah? So I'm not so convinced about that. I see my colleague, Mr. Moser here, my former colleague. He's also a tax expert. Reinhold, do you want to say something about this issue?
A little bit. I'm very much in favor of this kind of monetary reform. I think we need that, because today commercial banks are not controlled enough, and I mean, you know, the problems which arrive by that. But anyway, I think you should not overstress that. with monetary reform, you will not be able simply to create paradise on this planet. And if you read this papers on monetary reform, you have the impression you can solve all problems with that. Indebtedness, climate problems, I don't know whatsoever. Well, what is the main aim today? If you look at the monetary creation by commercial banks, it's not really controlled, so it expands the business cycle. This is a very big problem. If you have a downturn, commercial banks, I miss the word verstärken. they enhance the downtown, and if you have a boom, they give too much credit so that it goes too much up. We can look at that, for instance, at the stock exchange, at the land prices and things like that. And so to have really a public control on the whole monetary and credit sector would be very good. And I think something like Vollgeld, this monetary reform would be good. But it has nothing to do with taxes. It had nothing to do with indebtedness. And for instance, it has nothing to do with inflation. Inflation depends on the wage rate, how you have increase of the wages. So I would recommend not to overstress it. I would recommend really to get into detail how this monetary reform can be implemented, and we will have a lot of positive effects, but we will not solve everything. So taxes have to do nothing with the monetary reform, and I would say it's not a good idea to give this money supply via the government, which is part of this reform. You should separate that. The taxes height, it depends on the parliament. They decide. Dirk, you hinted at that. This is a democratically was heißt zuständig?
The competence of the parliament.
Okay, and I wouldn't separate that. And what is monetary things, this is really a technical problem. And so it's good to have an independent central bank, which has this technical approach to smoothen the business cycle and so on, to restrict banking activity. But for the indebtedness, for taxes and so, the responsibility is and should stay by parliament and government.
Professor Yamaguchi, do you want to answer?
Yes. Today, I really wanted you to study the concept of public money instead of monetary reform. I've been confused by the terminology monetary reform, because people use monetary reform in their own different ideas, and there is no way to agree what is monetary reform. So I really wanted to avoid, and I really wanted to define more precisely what is the real monetary system we need to propose. So my proposal of public money is only my idea, but it is based upon the simulation and other rational analysis. So please, I really like you to start using the public money, because I have defined public money precisely, and it's easy to refute if you don't like. But whenever you say monetary reform, still there are a lot of group of people in Europe who say we need a monetary reform group, big group, but their ideas are not clearly defined. So that's a source of confusion. That's a good say we have a control position. This is monetary reform A, this is monetary reform. We are different. So that's a good way to let monetary reformers to fight each other. That's not what I wanted to do. I want to show precisely what new monetary system, and if they don't like, then it's okay. Then I can just show what is the point of distinction, and we can discuss scientifically. So that's the point I really wanted to share with you today. Thank Thank you.
Mr. Schuster, yeah, you looked as if you urgently wanted to say something. Yeah?
Ah, okay. Well, I think because of Professor Löhr's question to the tax issue, we have now in the discussion mixed up two separate points. The question of public money and the question of the uniform tax system.
You started
So
with that.
both can be combined, but need not. But the endeavor of Professor Yamaguchi has been, let's say, to produce a all-encompassing package for a sustainable economy and society. Public money is one thing, the uniform tax system is another thing, and the Muratopia economy is a third thing, etc., etc. I hope I got it right, Kaoru.
Thank you for this opportunity. Indeed, I really appreciated your very courageous political decisions to select me as a award recipient. So thank you very much.
Okay, Eddie. The same. The problem is we are talking about if you can reach interest-free economy with plain money. But the problem is if you're following Keynes and before him Gesell, the interest is not only because the central bank issues money with interest, the interest is also inside the circulation because of the superiority of the money compared with goods and services. So you have an option-like situation with money, which you don't have so much with other goods and services. This is why Keynes, for instance, said money has the highest difference between the liquidity premium and the carrying costs. And this is why we have interest rate. And I don't see how this situation is changed within a plain money system.
Well, public money does not propose the elimination of interest. Interest rate have to be a very important factor to guide the investment direction. Only the public money prohibit the interest at the issuance of money. So that means interest may work a very important role as a price of investment or money. So that's one big confusion. We don't abolish interest. It's very important.
This means the state would
It has to be
benefit,
decided
but
within the economy.
This means the state would benefit, but there would be also some interest in the economy. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Reinhold.
Okay,
yeah.
to this interest thing, if you have the total control of the central bank, if emission of money only comes by the central bank, so at least you would shift the huge profits of the commercial banks now, which in effect is part of the seigniorage, to the central bank. This would at least be one big step, and as we also already know today, the profit of the central bank goes to the government, and this yearly profit would be much higher if we would really have emission of money only by the central bank, and this will, in one effect or another, also change interest rates. Thank you.
Any more questions? I have many questions here, but I don't want to ask them because I'm a moderator and should not be too much involved in the discussion. So it's up to you. Herr Schuster, please could you switch? Yeah.
If no one else from the participants asks, my favorite question for the moment would be, as I have said in my presentation, we need wise rules for the use of public money.
Can you let me share just one screen to show? Okay, just let me just share one moment. So we had interesting communication with the foundations about the public money question. So I didn't have time to introduce this PowerPoint presentation, but I'm going to attach this 5 pages of slide to answer some of your questions. So we have received 10 questions, question 1 through question 10, and additionally we have another 5 questions. So in total, I'm given the 15 questions, and I answered all of them one by one. So if you are interested, I can send you this PowerPoint slide so that you can check whether you find some interesting questions in this slide. Okay, 15 questions.
Well, I have received these answers, of course. I think my question is not covered. And the background to this question is that in your new book, you have sketched, after discussions with many Japanese people, how you would do step by step the use of public money. And it's not only infrastructure investments, roads, railway lines, hydrogen pipelines, etc., but also education and social issues. Therefore, I would like to hear a bit background of how far does a safe use of public money go, and when can it start to drive inflation, for example?
Professor Yamaguchi, it's your turn to answer. Mr. Schuster wanted to ask, how can we make the use of this public money safe? For instance, if you also want to finance social expenses from that, huh? Isn't there a current danger that we run into inflation or something? What would you say? What would you do against it?
Well, I'm not ready to answer this question because I used to create sustainable models using the concept of reproducibility, which is similar to the circular economies. And currently, I'm developing the macroeconomic sector divided into raw material sector and capital sector and finance sector, so that it could handle all type of raw material, including energy and oils. So because traditional macroeconomy failed to handle those raw material as an input. This is what Professor Steve Keen pointed out. Energy is an essential part in macroeconomics. I'm working on that in my next model.
I think
Yeah,
this also Mr. Schuster pointed out in his presentation, but your question was another one.
Yes, Kaoru, for what purposes can you use public money safely without having negative collateral effects, for example, inflation? Is there a limit?
Well, as long as I see there are no limits, so I think public money combined with the union tax system is the most idealistic way to make our transactions. And I'm not clear whether this is to answer your questions or.
So that means that you could also use public money for social expenses to stabilize pensions, etc.
Sorry, I couldn't hear the last.
This means Mr. Schuster wanted to say you also could use public money in order to pay old people which are retired, the pensions?
Ah, yes, yes, that's the only means of payment. So there are no way to distinguish your bulk money for only several purposes and pension payment for another purposes. So always money have to be a means of payment all the time. So there are no way to distinguish. And the uniform tax system can only be applicable to any situations, and it's fair tax system, fair distribution system, as long as I see. So you could probably read my chapter, some chapter which explains of uniform tax rate in comparison with other many different type of tax systems we have so far historically.
Okay. I'm looking at the watch, and we have 2 o'clock almost. It was a very interesting discussion, and in some regards, an eye-opener. Also, your presentation today. I was very impressed about your empirical work, how you put these money aggregates in relation to the depths of different sectors of the economy, and how you integrated this in your model. This was really an eye-opener also for me. Nonetheless, I have some doubts left, but it was very good. Thank you very much, Professor Yamaguchi. Thank you very much, Mr. Schuster. Without you, all this stuff would not be able. And your foundation does not only provide the money, you are really also inside the issue. It is a need for you to look for other possibilities, for other ways to get out of our misery. And I think this is a big merit. Thank you very much. And also was a pleasure to see I would almost have said, the alumni club from the Friede-Gard Awards with Professor Haag and also Professor Keen. Was also nice to have seen you again, and maybe Professor Yamaguchi, maybe the next time you join the alumni club and participate in the discussion again. So thank you all very much. It was very nice, and I hope you benefited from this Saturday. So, Klaus, do you want to say something?
I just can underline the thanks towards Gerd Schuster and also to all the participants, especially today, Kaoru Yamaguchi. And it's really interesting to see the power of those models on the one hand side. And if you go into practical questions and empirical issues, how near these models can be to the reality, but on the other hand, how fast changes happen in the reality. If you think about the way governments behave nowadays, they are working not on behalf of the people and following to find good solutions for their country. They are often trying to find good solutions for themselves. So this is something which makes it even more difficult to model these changing realities, and this is quite a huge task for all of us. But thanks a lot for all your work, and I would like to close this seminar today and looking forward to the documentation which you will find on our homepage, and looking forward to next year's award ceremony and the seminar. It's always a very, very good experience. Many thanks to all. Many thanks to Dirk for this for leading the discussion. All the best for you, and enjoy the rest of this day, which is rather short in Japan, the rest of this day, and which is rather long in the United States. And well, we've got a good afternoon in Germany, and so
Thank you.
all the best for all of you.
Okay. Bye.